What's going on, gang? In today's video, I'm going to walk you through my entire editing process from start to finish. So stay tuned to the very end because I'm giving away 20 free Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions that I'm going to be using in this tutorial. Now, what we have here is Lexi. She is a fella photographer who I talked to modeling for me. I seen her really like, your look, please let me take a picture. Please. I got on one knee, like, please let me take a picture. It's like, nah. But I asked her, she said yes. So these are the images that we created. And if you saw my video beforehand, how to cull and sort through, culling is and look through pictures, pick pictures, sort through pictures, same thing. How to cull through image, look through images in 7 minutes. Um, Go look at that video. It's gonna be on my page. So we've already done that process, and she's got me her selection, and I've imported her selection into Lightroom, and that's where we at. So what I normally do is I go Lightroom and then Photoshop. Lightroom is where I do most of my color grading, adding sharpness, giving it my like look. Then do all the other editing in Photoshop. So right now we got the images in here. As you see, they're down here, her 7 pictures. And we're gonna go head on over to the develop. Now we're in develop. So over here, you'll see these are all my presets, and I have so many from over 10 years of doing photography. And I have some favorites. I have some that I've never ever used. And every time I go through them, I always be like, oh, I need to delete them. Like, what I'm ever going to use that one? Like, I don't even like the color. But as you would know, as you get more into photography, and if you're a more experienced photographer, you already know like some of the worst looking presets on this might look terrible, but if you do a brighter image or a more moodier image, it's like perfect. So I think that's why I keep them as well. So first of all, I go through and I kind of hit my favorites first. So some of my favorites are Beautiful Day. So you see the before and then after. And for me personally, it's about hitting me. That's how I pick kind of like my style. Like what hits me? Like, am I looking for this dead smiles, this kind of like darker, moody, with the vignetting around it? No. Um, Also, when shooting, I always have a final idea, like what the final image is going to look like before I even start shooting, like how I want this to look. But I still go through this kind of process of just seeing if there's something else in there that hits me that may make me change my mind. So I literally just go through a couple. Like I said, hit my favorites, Give Me Face, GMF. That these are my go-tos. As you see, like this is a good one. Like this is before, that's after. You see, it makes the reds kind of brighter. It brightens up the shadows. As you can see, like right here is dark. And then you see now it's light. That's the shadows. It brought the shadows. That gave her like a tan. I don't like that. Um, that made her pale. Okay, I like the give me face style. So sometimes even though like I don't like how warm this is, so the warm is like you'll see in these in the dark in the shadows, like how it's warmer. Let's see what give me face Yana look like. Contrast, give me face tone. That's like super bright. Like you see how it made the reds just pop too much. So let's start with give me face style, and we're gonna go from here. So now from here, I just kind of play around with the sliders. I already said I don't like how warm it is. So as you see, we're at like 6,000 in temperature. I'm gonna bring that down to like 5, 53, 56. I like 56. And then like I use the whatever button this is. It's like a little slash. to see the before and after. I'm always checking my before and after to see how far away from the raw am I, because I don't want to steer too far from my raw as far as like my final image that I had in my head, but I want it to look like a mood, a vibe. So that's cool. We'll leave that there for now. Now we'll come down some more. So we're at 54. So let me see. So me knowing my preset, I already know that there's something in the color grade here that's making it this even more warm. So you see that's off and that's on. So you see how her skin tone is a little pinker. And that's another thing you have to learn. You have to train your eye. I call it eye calibration. Just like how you have to calibrate your computer screen, like you have to calibrate your eye to see that that skin tone is pinker in this. That might not be the exact term, magenta or something like that. I like, y'all know me. I like it. Keep it simple terminology. So it's pinker in here, and then it's warmer in here. It kind of takes away the pink hues and replaces them with like a greenish, yellowish hue. I don't like that. So we're gonna just scrap that whole preset altogether. Let's go down to one of my, these are my other favorites that I just kind of skip past all those other numbers and go down here. And this is my go-to when I want it to look close to the original. So Wedding Reception J, long story short, had a second shooter and his images all needed to be color graded. So I created a preset just for that color grade and just named it Wedding Reception J because it needed to be applied to all of his images. But as you see, this just does subtle. This just gives subtle. So this is before, after. So you just see like it pops the details. It took some of the warmth out of the skin. And I think we are gonna work with that. So as you see, this is at 5,000 temperature. So a little bit about temperature is basically cooler, warmer, more blue, more orangish. Bluer is like wintertime. You see like more blues, and blue represents like cold and stuff like that. Warmer is like sunnier days, sunsets, hot days, like you would associate that with like warmer. So we're gonna keep it where it's at. I'm gonna just make it a little warmer. So as you see, this is before, after. Before, you can see the skin is a little paler, and after, a little bit more warmer skin tone. And then my normal process is just going down these sliders, adjusting a little bit here, a little bit there. And like I said, I'm always checking before and afters to make sure I'm not deterred too far from the original. So yeah, we're gonna keep the highlights about right there. Shadows, do I want this really to have that much light on it? Do I really want it to be the factor? I don't. So I can keep those shadows a little darker because the focus that I'm going for is this face and a little bit of the hands, but mostly this face, the eyes, the smile is what I'm going for. Um, or what I should say, what is the main focus? We'll increase the whites a little bit. Texture, you can get crazy with the texture slider. Like it can get crazy, and you can see every little pore. But we're not doing that. But we also don't want it that soft. So this is 0. I usually give skin texture about a 9 to 12, give or take. I don't mess with the clarity because clarity just gives it that kind of like crunchy. I guess that's again, I try to keep my terminology simple. Clarity gives it that like crunchy, crunchy look. So I hardly play with that. If I do anything, it'd be like somewhere in the twos, threes, fours. If vibrance, saturation. A lot of photographers I see, y'all get crazy with the saturation and the vibrance. Like images be looking like this where it's just too saturated. The colors are too rich. That's a good way to say it. The colors are just too rich. They're unnatural. Especially when you're going for a more natural look. And for me in this image, we're going for a natural kind of playful, flirty headshot. Something that's dope and she can use for headshots and or just to post on social media with a nice caption. So we're not gonna play around with that. I like the colors, I like the skin tone, and plus I'm gonna show you guys in Photoshop how I also color grade in Photoshop as well. I love playing with this tone curve. Like my favorite thing to do is give it like this haze. Like that's the best way I can describe it is like this little, it just gives the image like this little haze over it. And not too much like we can go this looks good to me because I'm also visualizing the final edit where the skin texture is blended better and stuff like that. And I can make some highlights pop and add some more contour. That's I like this because I'm a moodier, more moodier shooter, but we're not gonna go for that. We're gonna just hit it a little bit with a little razzle dazzle because I like the way it makes the background give that haze to the background as well. So we're gonna leave that as it is. And again, this is I'm giving you guys, and it sounds like I'm talking maybe talking a lot, but this is literally I'm giving you what's going on in my head, whether I'm in front of the camera or not. This is how I talk to myself when I'm editing these pictures. And sometimes you gotta talk like that. You gotta kind of think your process out loud, think through your process out loud. Saturation. So like I said, her skin tone, it is winter here. So it's kind of like on a paler side, as you can see with mine. Like if I show y'all this without this filter on there, I'm a little pale, but you know, I color graded my videos, give me a little little razzle dazzle. So I'm not sure. Matter of fact, this is me playing. See, we're paler up here. And this is me with the color grade. So even with color grading this, we're gonna just add it, just introduce a little orange because orange is where the skin tone is. If you grab this picker right here, it's gonna, that's what this little slider is. So if we want to be in this red, it's gonna play with the red. If we wanted to bleed to be in this blue, as y'all see over here, the blue slider, like this selects the color that you want to play with, and you can increase the saturation, luminance, or the hue of it. Like that's what these little pickers are right here. But we're gonna keep those back to 0. I said we're gonna introduce a little skin color in there. I like that. So this is before so far. This is the before. This is the after. Y'all can already see a huge difference. You can already see a huge difference. So even though I introduced some more orange, I think it's a bit dark. So in the luminance, we're gonna make it a little bit lighter. So it's not a huge difference from before. So that's what it looks like before. That's too much. It's just back to white. So we're gonna go just just a little, maybe like 5, 6. Yeah, so y'all can see the difference in before and after. All right, so we're gonna go down a little bit further. Color grade. I don't want to play around with color grade, but sometimes for this one, for me, color grading is about opposites and complementary colors. That's a whole different video. Matter of fact, y'all can go down that rabbit hole of color grading. It's fun. Um, I don't really want to do any color grade to this. Let's see, but that's actually a little bop right there. Like that might be. See, I literally just freestyled that. And what I like about it is the hair. She has like this brownish hair, but in the in the raw, it looks like dark and it doesn't have life. It's the hair isn't popping. So this gives it that brown. I like that. I like that. Let me see. Maybe this is a little bit too strong, so we're gonna bring down. And this is in the shadows, so the dark areas. This is the highlights, the light areas. So the hair is in the shadows, or it's a darker area. So that's why it's giving it this brown look. I like that. It's adding this whatever color this is to the hair. We're gonna go down to sharpening. So my rule of thumb in sharpening is never 100%. Like 100% just looks too crunchy again, too crunchy. So I usually keep my sharpening around 60 to 70%. And that is with no noise. Now, had there been noise in this, then I do equal ratios in a sense. So, for example, if I normally won't go past 60, that leaves me a range of 60. So, if there's some noise in there and I have to bump this up to the noise reduction up to like 30, then my sharpening would be up to about 30, 40. You get it, so it equals 60, 70 ish. That's kind of like my rule of thumb. And the masking, this is currently where all the sharpening is sharpening the background. The white is where it's sharpening. So it's sharpening the background, her, everything. You don't need sharpness in the background. So you pull the slider down until you get it just where you want it to be. So you can have it as fine as that. And we can see the before and after in that, which is very subtle. So subtle you can't even really see it. But we're gonna go about right here because I want to sharpen her face to be sharp. And you guys probably aren't going to be able to see it, but I can see it. It just does something to the details. You'll be able to see it on your end when you get up there. Slide the slider to like 70, play with the masking, and then we're going to go on down. Remove chromatic aberration, enable profile corrections. This does its thing. As you can see, it takes away the vignetting a little bit. It makes it adjusts the distortion. And of course the transform is like moving around, rotating and all that stuff. We don't need to do anything like that to this image. Then they have this new lens blur. I haven't played around with this, but I don't have a background to blur, so I'm gonna leave that alone. And this is vignetting, like so you can have this vignette or this vignette, but I think those are all vintage-ish. And even though she has these gloves and this is kind of like a little vintage bop to it, I don't really like adding vignettes. And then down here, this calibration, sometimes I like to add just a little bit more like saturation in this primary blue. And like I said, you can play around with these. Like you see how it slid down, slides up. Like get familiar with playing around with these so you see what they do. So you can see, well, these aren't gonna apply to this image, but I can see where that I can play with that in another image. Um, but yeah, let me see where this is at 0. Go down a little bit, go up a little bit. Then go down like -3. I like that. And here we go to shadows, like so the tint can be this greenish or pinkish, somewhere in the middle. Again, like this is my thought process with every picture, with every shoot, I should say. So I'm gonna leave that alone. So I'm happy with it. Let me see before, after. I want to do is something's missing somewhere in the highlights. I think the highlights are down too low, so I want to bring them up a little bit. But that made her a little bit too pale, so we're gonna go back down to the luminance slider and bring it down to 0. I like that. Okay, so as you see down here, we have 3 of the same images. You don't do this for every image. You have this is your preset, and you can either save this. I'm not gonna save it because it's kind of like my go-to. If you save every preset that you do, you'll have so many presets over here that it'll blow your mind. So what I'm gonna do now is select these three, which is shift and then select the last one and then sync them together. Now every last one of these is gonna have the same preset. So before, after. Go to the next one. Before, no, before, after, before, after. I think it's a little bit too warm. Again, now I'm looking at it again. Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that, like, for you to look at something, but on here, I like it. She's not too warm. This one, compared to it, I think she's a little too warm. So we are going to bring this down. Yeah, I like that. It's closer to natural. And then this one, we're also going to bring that down. So about right there. So before, after. I like that. This one is a little bit too dark as well. Let's see what the camera settings were. So this one was shot at ISO 160 at 150 millimeters, f3.2, 200 seconds. This one was shot at ISO 200. So that's a difference of 40. What was the first one shot at? The same thing. So I dropped the ISO on here, which means less light. Less ISO, lower the light. Higher the ISO, more light. So let's introduce a little bit more light into this one. There we go. That looks better. Let me see, because now I want to introduce a little bit more light into this one. But it brought in that paleness. Sorry, Lexi. I know it's wintertime up here. I I like that. There we go. I like that. I like that. Compare that to the beginning. Yeah. And as y'all see, this have this like little haze over it, and that was from a trick that I learned where you pour a pantyhose or stocking. I don't know the difference. I think they're pantyhose. You stretch it over your camera. This was a black stocking pantyhose. So yeah, that's a good trick to kind of give it this glow, give it that. I guess it's like a glow. Let's check the crop. That's cool. I like this crop as well. We have all of our images color graded. Select all, export, export, and they're going to go into a subfolder. Again, I like to keep everything organized. So they're going to go into the Lightroom because they are in Lightroom and they've been edited. When I'm sending proofs, I send them to a selection folder. I create a selection folder so I know all of their images go in there. I make sure they're in TIFF format. You can put them in PSD format, anything. I think TIFF is one that preserves, makes it the biggest file to work with, I think. But you guys can go down your rabbit hole and TIFF versus PSD. I don't think these other ones are as good. I think like the tops are TIFF and PSD, which is Photoshop, something, something. Resolution, make sure your resolution is always at 300. Always make sure your resolution is at 300. And export. Now, once you export, then I'm going to drag them into Photoshop by the threes. So this is her folder. So we have Lexi's selection, and then we have the Lightroom. So this is her selection. We have Lightroom, and then we pull them in by the threes. So it doesn't matter if it was all 70s where her was this same look or if it was just these three. But three, and then like since it's four, I'm gonna of course pull the four in, but I just pull these three in, drag into Photoshop. Um, So this is the fun part. So with Photoshop, I'm usually in there. I'm just analyzing what can I fix, what needs to be fixed. I've already kind of noticed a lot of things in Lightroom already that needs to be fixed. Like for example, all these hairs right here, they gotta go. Kind of like some of these loosies have to go. Smile lines gotta go. This little discoloration gotta go. Gotta go. Getting this together. These kind of like lip lines. Um, and that's it. So here's the trick. Actions. So here are all my actions. So this is the complete set of actions that I have. Just hit click run. And basically, I'm about to show you guys. It basically does everything that you need for skin retouch. It does the frequency separation. It does the dodge and burn. It does color grading. It literally does everything. Just clicked it. Boom. Now we're in the frequency separation. As you see, this is the texture layer and it's the blur layer. I'm not gonna get into frequency. Can't even say the word. I'm not gonna get into frequency separation, but as you see, like this is a blur, and then you add the texture to it. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but basically it's separating frequency. You have the skin tones and colors, and then you have the details. So you're working on the layers separately. So what you do over here, I get my mixer brush, and these are my settings: wet 9, low 75, mix 90, flow 100. You don't want to make sure this is not clicked because you don't want to sample all the layers. You just want to work on this one layer. So what I do, again, this is me. I got my pen, I got my Wacom tablet that I've had for 8, 9 years. What I like to do is I like to blend the skin tones so they're not so abrupt in a sense. So for example, this she's pretty good right here, but for example, this right here, I don't like there's a line right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just blend this out. And a better way of even showing y'all is this frequency separation help. So this just turns it black and white, and you're able to see this dark area versus the highlights, shadows, highlights, contour, contour, highlight. You're able to see a little bit better. So you see how like it's dark right here and then light right here. This was that dark line I was telling you guys about right here. I don't like that there, and I want to just smooth it out. So what you do is go from light to dark. Some people don't. Some people only stay like within the same lights and lights, mids and mids, and then shadows and shadows. But I don't like how dark this was, so I'm going to blend it. And you see up right here, this chin kind of. I don't like that. Again, this is my personal way to edit. This is my how I personally like editing. This is how I personally like my images to look. So I'm doing the same thing on this side. Here's that line again. And one thing that I learned very early on, especially like when you go down that rabbit hole of editing, you want to do this frequency separation to families and kids and all that. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is more so for beauty shots, beauty retouching. Um, I wouldn't do this on corporate headshots at all. I would just use like the what tool is this? The heel brush, spot heel brush to get kind of like zits and other like lines and stuff out the way when it comes to headshots. But this is a more in-depth um editing process, and I'm telling you guys, your family client is not going to know the difference between you using frequency separation and you just simply just going in and trying to get the zits out and the smile lines, and your and the mother saying, hey, can you make me look skinnier? You don't need to do this. This is a more in-depth process. Takes about 30-40 minutes or so. 15, 20 if you're experienced, an hour plus if you're not. This isn't, there's different editing tactics and skills needed for different types of photography. If you do babies and families, you don't need to do this. Don't stress yourself. But this is a beauty shot, so I want it to be close to perfect. And like I said, some people use dodge and burn to get these like this little dark spots right here. They use something else. Again, I'm showing you guys my system because you're here, you're on my page. So just, and then like even this, even though this is good, I don't like this line right here, how it's like I said, so abrupt. So I'm just gonna hit it so it's not as abrupt. It's blended better. Again, just strokes. You're not digging in it, going. It's just stroke, stroke, stroke. Not too much. Not out of the norm. Not out of where it was already at. Just blending it around the area that it was already at. And then his eye, you see how it's darker right here and then lighter right there. I don't want under the eye to be that dark. I want this highlight to highlight. Usually around, these are like the same areas in just most pictures, like around the lips are darker for some reason, unless you have a MUA, a makeup artist who really kind of focused on that area and got it together. But you see like this is darker and this is lighter. And then it's not like, it's just all over the place. Like you see like these little spikes. Like it's a valley and then up, valley and up. Again, you guys might not see it because of the clarity of the YouTube video, and or you guys don't have the trained eye, but they're there, and it's something that you have to kind of teach yourself. Well, learn, I should say. You have to learn to kind of see those things, because now you see it's blended a lot better right there. So before, after, just around those, just looking at the darks, just looking at the darker areas and the highlights, just comparing the two. Same thing on this eye, is darker under here, it's light right there. So I want to just bring some of that light up into under the eye. Get that highlight to pop a little bit more on that cheekbone. I didn't want to do that. Y'all see how this went like that? You see how that darkness? We don't want that. So we just blending that. Again, in these eyes. Like I said, you see this, it's the little things. That's when it comes to this, it's the little things. Like you see that there's literally a line right here. A line. You don't want lines. You don't want you want everything to blend. You want it to fade into one another. Colors. Again, unless you're going for, like I said, something dramatic. And you don't want to be doing this zoomed in too much, because you want to look at the image kind of sort of in a totality. So you see how it's darker right here, not as dark right there, and light right there. 3 different shades all right here. See if I can zoom in. Darker, mid, highlight. This is shadow, mid, highlight. We don't want that popping right there, so we want to kind of blend that with the rest. You see this? Here's another like abrupt line. So we just want to blend the transition between the highlights, mids, and the shadows. See, here's another line right here. There's a line. We just want to blend it so it's not so abrupt. And then the bridge of the nose is normally have like this kind of highlight, so I want it to be a little bit more prominent in the tips of the nose. Another tip for y'all, watch makeup tutorials. Men, women, watch makeup tutorials. When you watch makeup tutorials, you get a sense of where highlights go, where contour goes, how eyelashes are supposed to be, how the eyeshadow above the eyes are supposed to be, how eyebrows are supposed to be. how the lips are supposed to look. Like when you look at makeup tutorials, it helps you in editing. So I watched a lot. I could probably beat a face. I could probably really beat a face for real if I said that a trial. I should make that a challenge. Like the MUA has to take the picture and I get to beat the face of the model. I might make that a challenge. Let's see here. Boom. Just blend in right now what I see. So let's take this off from making it black and white. And let's see how much of a difference. Now it's subtle, but huge. So y'all see it now. This is before. This is after. So you see this line right here. And now it's blended. What else we got? Over this area. It's just blending all of this. As you see before, it had this, you see this line right here. It's the line right there, then it's patchy right there. It's the valleys and ups and the downs. Even down here, it's the valley up, and then it comes down. Then it comes down right here. Now it's just smooth. It's smooth. It's just smoothing things out. Before, after. Look at the nose. Before, it's like this little, it's dark right here. It's light right around there. It's like no shape to it. Now we have kind of like smooth, continuous gradient flow. Again, that's the best way I can describe it. Like I said, I'll try to do it in simplest terms for y'all. Now, I think that looks good as far as the skin. Hold on, let's look at the shoulder. That's cool. All right, let's look around the lips. So y'all see the dark corners are gone. See, it's dark right here. It's dark right there. Then we got this up here going on. It's all smooth now. So now we got that done. Now you go up to the texture layer. So now with the texture layer, and what I like to use, again, this is me. I like to use the clone stamp tool with the hardness of about 50 to 60%, 100% everything, and make sure you're on the current layer. Let me show you what happens when you do all layers. When you do all layers, you're basically doing every layer above and below. So as you see, it's going to do that. So on the current layer, it's only, let me see if I can show you. Oh, here we go. So this is what the texture layer looks like. As you see, it's texture, it's skin texture. This is the blurred layer. You see how everything is blurred. There's no texture. That's what frequency separation is. It's separation of texture and the skin tones. So this is what the texture layer looks like. It's just texture. So now we're about to go on this texture layer and get, you see these smile lines above the lip. We're going to get those out of there. So let's turn everything back on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab some good skin from around it. Good skin. And we're just cloning the good skin and placing it over the smile line. As you see how it's randomly around there. It's still there and I don't like it. But we're gonna fix that. That's probably on the skin tone layer. Like even like these little lines, again, I don't like them. And the thing about me, I tell you guys, I don't like, again, personal preference. I don't like when uh people edit like the skin is just totally edited, the skin tones and texture, the texture is totally edited out, and then they add like that basketball texture to the skin. Like I don't like that, like where it just look like basketball bumps. Like I don't like that personally. I like keeping skin as close to skin as possible. I just get rid of some of these blemishes and things that client doesn't necessarily want. So like I said, these little lines right here. And then like some photographers have their own rules where they're like, oh, I don't edit out anything that's gonna be there after 3 months. That's you, that's you. These smile lines are probably gonna be there after 3 months, but I don't want them in the picture. She might be cool with them, but I personally think that when people come to you for a photo shoots are supposed to be a representation of their best self. And by best self, everyone has a different definition of their best self. Somebody's best self might be 20 pounds less. Someone's best self may be no smile lines. Someone's best self may be XYZ. Getting rid of the mark that is going to be there for the rest of their life, but it's a scar that reminds them of some time in the past or whatever the case may be. You can always ask a client, "Hey, do you want me to get rid of it? Hey, do you want me to get rid of this? Do you want to keep that?" A lot of clients will automatically tell you, "Oh yeah, I just hate my smile lines. Make sure you get rid of those for me." Some may not. She didn't tell me anything about these smile lines, but I don't think they should be there. Again, that doesn't mean that her best self isn't with them. I just like that look right there. It's cleaner. These smile lines. If why should someone pay you hundreds of dollars to take a picture and the picture just comes out looking like if they took it with their own cell phone in cinematic mode? I mean, in portrait mode. You get it? Like, why pay all this money if you're not about to edit my skin to make it look flawless? Air quotes on flawless, because everyone has different definitions of what flawless looks like to them. Like I said, she might be offended that I took her smile lines away, but it's my brand. And that's when people book you, they're booking you because you have an aesthetic. You have a look to your images for the most part. Unless they're just booking and they're just looking for someone to take pictures. Don't book me, and I tell people, don't book me if you're just looking for somebody to take pictures. Book somebody else. You're booking me, give me face because you like my aesthetic. You like my how I edit the skin. You like how I color grade. You like how I put the creativity to it, whatever the case may be. But don't book me because you just want pictures, like, because I'm not gonna let you tell me what I can and can't do. Oh no, don't do my picture like that. You didn't want me. I'm doing this is my brand. This is a representation of me and my brand. So keep that in mind when you guys are doing business. So as you see, we're just on this texture layer, getting rid of some of these little bumps, nicks. I'm gonna get rid of some of these lines under the eye. Like I said, this is just what I do. Um, Not saying you have to do this or follow the same method. I gotta fix that. But just some of these lines, I'm gonna leave the other ones. I just want like kind of like the more prominent in your face ones out the way. Um, Zoom in a little bit, get these little ones down here along the cheek, under the chin. Everyone has this little line under here, but I'm not gonna get rid of it entirely because some lines and creases and shadows kind of add that depth. So you know this the lip. There's a curve of the lip and there's a shadow underneath there. So I'm gonna leave the rest of those little lines under there to give it that detail and texture. So I don't like how these. So you see how I'm here and I'm trying to cover up this little line and it's not doing anything. So now we got to go back to the blur layer, the skin tone layer, and see if now we get rid of it. Ah, see, there we go. So sometimes it'll be something is on a different layer, and you got to kind of go back and forth sometimes if you see it not going away. Where there was some lines under, there was some redness under here. All right. So now before, after. As you see, we can still see, again, you're on YouTube, so make sure you're at 4K and or 720, the highest resolution when you're watching this. But you see the skin tone is still there. The skin tone is super natural still. We just got rid of some of the smile lines, some creases under the eye. Oh, that's where it was. It was some under the eye that I didn't like. This dark right here, when I went to remove the lines, it created some dark stuff going on. Sometimes it does that. You just got to go back and forth between these are your two main layers. This is literally what's showing right now is texture, and the blur, like blur, texture. This is our image. As you see, those are the two layers that's on. Turn them off and you have nothing. All right. So we zoom out. I zoom in a little bit. I still see like here's some little bumps here and here. Again, if this was a family picture, yeah, I would not be going this in depth. I'm telling you guys, don't get, at the end of the day, this is our passion. We love what we do, but you still have to, in the business, and we're gonna get, can't wait to get to the business segment of my YouTube. In business, it's about working smarter, not harder. So you're not gonna do this to no baby and no family and no sports and stuff like that. Like this is for, this method is more so glamour, beauty shots. This is more so, this is considered beauty retouching. All right, I like it. So now we're gonna work our way up here, and y'all see this discoloration? I don't know what that's from, but we're gonna fix it in on the blur copy layer. And we're gonna bring from up here, we're gonna bring that down because I don't know where that came from. Might have been from the makeup, and it's still, so I see before, we're right here. It's kind of like pinkish right here. And this is, you see, this is tones and hues. This is a yellowish warmer. This is a pinkish whitish. That's after. Let's see if we can bring down texture from up here to make it blend better. Okay, that made it a little better. I hate it. That ain't too bad. I don't like it. What is going on there? So what I'm gonna do is fix that another way, but we're gonna come back to it. All right, so these hairs. Hair is more so a texture thing, so they're gonna be on a texture layer. So we're gonna go ahead and clone these. I'll make this a lot smaller. We're on the texture layer, and we're just gonna get these hairs out of the way. And as you see, I'm not staying in the same spot. I'm not just going up like that because that's how you create like repetition in spots. And as you see, what's left is still the color. What I told you about, we have different layers. We have a texture layer and then a color layer. Oh, matter of fact, y'all know what? I'm gonna show y'all the new AI. So you see this line right there, these lines right there, line right there, this line right there. And you see this line is still there. So we gotta go back to your color layer and just blend it. Now it's gone. I hate this pink that's still right there. All right. Now, let's work with the new AI. We're gonna put it above here. So let's drag this up there. I could go in here very finely and clone from right here and bring it over here, but I don't feel like doing all of that. So we're gonna use AI, select this area right here, and just see what it does. Generative field, generate. Let's see. Usually it works really, really good. Saves you time. Granted, you gotta wait for it to do this stuff, but it's better than going in there, zooming in at 300% and trying to do each one of those hairs and get it out of there. Looks fake. Looks fake. Looks even faker. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's about your selection. So I'm gonna see what it produces next and then adjust. Okay, I like that. Let's see. Before, after. No, it doesn't have a shadow right there. So I'm going to delete that. Let's try this again with in selecting a little bit. Matter of fact, let's select a little less. Let's go in here and just those extra hairs. Just get the extra hairs out the way. Even going in up in there like that. It's just kind of telling AI what to do. So let's go just there. See what it produces. But I like the shadow right here on the side. It looks real. It was taking that shadow away. I just want these hairs out the way, and I don't want to have to do it. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see if it creates another one. Okay, there we go. I like that one. So before, after. Before, after. Before, after. Okay, I like that. So there we have that. Now, to me, I'm done with the skin, minus this pink right here. So I have to stop what I'm doing and deal with this specific problem. Because if I say I'm going to do it later, I'm going to forget. So we're dealing with a skin tone issue right here. Again, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's pinkish right here and it's yellow, orangish up here. If I zoom in really close, you can see the pinkish. You can see the difference. If you can't, work on getting that eye calibration. Watching a bunch of videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to select current layer and below. We're going to take our full opacity down. And this is the clone tool. So basically what I'm about to do now is clone this up here and bring it down to here. As you see I'm the color I'm bringing down. And I'm just bringing it down from up there. All right. Let's see. I think I got a little bit on the eyebrow and I did just a little bit. So we just remove that. There we go. That's so much better. That was bothering me. So look, so this is before we see this, whatever is going on right there. And then after. See the colors matching now. Colors, all about hues and skin tone and stuff like that. So now, boom, off to dodge and burn. So dodge and burn is basically, again, if you watch makeup tutorials, dodge and burn is basically highlights and contour. You know, when you watch some videos, you'll see women put highlights on the cheekbones to make the cheeks pop, contour underneath it to give it that dip. Highlights go on the nose, contour goes along the side. It makes the nose a little narrower or fatter or whatever the case may be. Lips, they can highlight and contour those to make them look more plump. I know where highlights and contour goes because I watch those videos. So I know we're going to switch to the regular brush tool and your opacity is going to be 100%. Make sure your hardness is all the way down and your flow is gonna be 3%. So I know highlights go on the nose, they go on this little forehead area right here, and they go on this cheekbone. And they go right underneath the chin. I like to add a little razzle dazzle on the lip. As you see, there's already, you can only kind of put it, it works best where there's already highlights and contour and stuff like that. So the lips already have this little gloss to them. So we're just going to enhance them a little bit with some more highlight. I like adding it on this little eyebrow right here. Sometimes in some makeup tutorials, they put a little bit right here in this little crease, as well. As you can already see, there's highlight already right there. So I'm just adding there, and like up here right above that eyeshadow. So let's look at before. Let's zoom in a little bit. Before, after, before, after. Each time, look at the cheeks. Before, after. Let's look at the lips. Looking at lips and chin. Before, after. You see, it just gives it that little hint. Now we're gonna do the burn. The burn is the contour. So contour goes, and I don't like to work too close in because you're not gonna be able to see the image in totality. So I like to zoom out a little bit and just brush a little bit, getting it in there. And contour goes above this like forehead area as well. I like to sometimes put some around the chin. Definitely like kind of around the lips in the darker areas. On the inside where it's kind of darker because there's more shadows inside the lip. Eyeshadows, a little extra on the tips. Extra on the tip. Sometimes underneath the eye because they have that mascara on or whatever that stuff is you put under your eye. Not the mascara. Mascara goes on the lash, right? So whatever that pin is that y'all put under the eyes, whatever they put under the eyes. Sometimes on the eyebrow, if the eyebrows are looking, I don't know, not as dark. So let's look at before, after, before, after. I think I put too much on the cheeks. So let's take a little bit off. And again, you will get like that. Like when you look at it, I'm just taking a little bit off, like especially on this hair, because it got on the hair a little bit. I didn't want it on the hair that much. Take it down from up there a little bit. So I'm using that same to see the how I saw this red. This red is your overlay, and you're able to see your overlay by clicking this backslash forward slash. Yeah. Forward slash key, you can see where it's at. So you can see it's right here. You can see it's right there. The red is where it's not, and then where you see through it is where it is. So there we go. That's a lot better. So you see where it's at. Look, we're looking at shadows now. So check out the nose as it comes up and into the eye makeup. Nose as it comes up to the eye makeup. So this is before, and this is after. Just gives it that. That's how you add dimension and depth to your images. This is when people say like, "Oh, the image doesn't have any depth." That's what they mean. And again, sometimes you have to go back over your work. So what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a sharp line right here compared to over here where it's blended better. So now I have to go all the way back down to this blur copy, change my brush back to the mixer brush, and just hit that a little bit. Let's see. And then, of course, when you see that, you start seeing other stuff. So it'd be like that sometimes. There we go. So there we go. Let's see, before, after. Yeah. It's just the subtleness. Like before, like I said, we removed these dark lines right here, the smile lines. We like you see how it's darker right here and then lighter right there. We just kind of blended that better. Got this nose together, got under these eyes together. It's a beauty shot. Let's see. So I see this right here as well. How see it's a valley up. This is lighter and then it's dark right there and dark right there. We just want that transition to be smoother. That's all. You just want the transitions of the skin tones to be as smooth as possible. So I'm really liking what we have right here so far. Get rid of these stray hairs up here. So I have a new layer as you see right here. Working on a totally new layer above everything else. And we're just going to get these hair out the way. This hair out the way. I don't like them up there. I like some of them, but those are just too prominent, too like in your face. There we go. So before or after. All right, so now for her image in particular, what drew me in were the eyes. So I already knew that I had to work on the eyes in post. And of course, she has some beautiful eyes. Beautiful, beautiful. But we're going to enhance them a little bit. We're going to make them pop a little bit more. So we're going to take our brush and we're working on the adjustment layer. So we're going to take our brush, our regular brush, with a flow of 3, and we're going to work on our layer mask. That's what this is. This is a layer mask. So again, we're with the bright and the darks, highlights and the contour. So since she has these eyes, we are going to enhance the bright part of them. Make them pop a little bit more. Get these you can see the light sources. Here's a reflector down here. Here's the main light source. We're gonna make these. I don't even know what color. I should ask her, like, what color are your eyes? Blue, gray. I don't even know what color they are, but they looked great. Um, so before, after, you see, we just brought a little pop to them. Nothing too dramatic. I'm not trying to make it look like a werewolf or nothing. And then that was the highlights, and now we're gonna work with the contour. We're gonna work with the dark. You see, this is already dark around here, so we're just gonna make that pop a little bit more. Give it a little, make it a little bit more prominent. And then I like to take it a step further because it's me, and I'm in here about 450%. And we have like these already naturally like these dark lines already in our eyeballs. So I just want to kind of bring them back. And this isn't as clear because we put that stocking over the lens. Otherwise, these lines will be a lot more like prominent and you'll be able to see them a lot better. But we're just gonna enhance what we can see. As y'all hear, like I'm hitting. I'm not like I'm lifting it up. That might be too much right there. I'm just click, 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 hit. Just getting these lines, and my brush is about a 4 as far as thickness now that I'm like this close in. But I'm just hitting these lines. Like I said, they're already naturally there. Like I said, you may not be able to see them because the details of your computer or how this is translating. Because I am screen recording, so we have to account for that. But let's see. Just the eyes, just focusing on the eyes. Before, after. I think I want to give him a little bit more, hit him with a little bit more brightness to make him a little bit more brighter. There we go. Yes. Before, after. Yeah. Like I said, it's subtle, but it just makes such a huge difference. And I think I'm done. So let's go to color grade because like I said, I think I'm done, but then I get into my color grades and I see something as y'all saw. Y'all just saw. So I kind of, these are my faves. Cute. Ooh, that looks great. Cute. Let me see. Caramel. Ooh. Caramel 3. Caramel 4. Like these are like my go-tos. Let me see. Let's go to 2. I like this 2. That's before. This is after. But you can always like decrease the opacity to 0 and just add in a little bit of it. See how that looks. Yeah, I like that. It definitely gives me 19 roaring 20s. I like that. I think I'm gonna add that. And we're done with this picture. I like that. What y'all think? Let's go before and after. So we have, and I know all the keyboard shortcuts. I can't really break them down to you right now, but so here's before and there's after. So as you see, I didn't change her face. I didn't change too much. I just cleaned it up. I cleaned up the smile lines and blended the areas that needed to be blended for it to be a glamour shot. That's what it's supposed to be, a glamour shot. What y'all think? Let me know in the comments. Did I overdo it? Outside of your taste? I don't know. Even if this is outside of your taste, there's something from this you can apply to your own images as well. I like this image. I'm satisfied with this image. This is something that I would definitely blow up and get added to my studio as added to my collection. If you guys have seen my studio, I have all types of wall art from all of my shoots and some big old canvases. I really like this. And that's it for this video. Pretty lengthy. Had I not had to do all the stops and explaining, I probably would have did this at about 20 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes this could have been done. But thank you for you guys who watched this all the way to the end. The link to the free presets and this action here is in the description. There's only 20 free ones. After that, you'll see where you can purchase the set for. It's only going to be like 15 bucks. It helps support this channel, helps me be able to create these videos and keep it going for y'all. And I can't wait to keep delivering more and be on the lookout for my new app that's coming out. Give Me Face. It's going to be learning and more in-depth tutorials, one-on-one classes. There's a community over there for you guys to interact. When you watch the video, you can go in and actually ask questions and get feedback instantly from your peers and myself. But until then, just keep shooting, keep practicing. You guys can sit on this computer and watch YouTube videos all day long, but you have to go out and actually implement it. You have to apply what you have learned. That's the only way to get better. See y'all out there in the streets.